Hello, and welcome to the 20th video in a series on the tabletop role-playing game Bunkers and Badasses. In this video, I'll be presenting some pre-made characters using my archetype and class builds. If a build can be made using alternative options, I disclose my reasoning for choosing what I preferred. These builds are presented before applying archetype feats or class skills. For the Assassin build, this is a unique concept and balances nicely between ranged and melee combat. I prefer to have the Macho Man trait twice if I want to focus on melee combat. For the Berserker build, the Dynamite background was chosen in order to focus on ranged combat with rocket launchers. I prefer to have Macho Man for melee combat and Breacher as a trait to mitigate the poor interact skill checks. The background can be swapped out for brutality and additional points to damage, speed, and mastery for melee-centric builds. Having two Macho Man traits is preferred for the melee variant. For the Commando build, this is a unique concept. I chose Whistleblower because it doesn't give any negative modifiers to skills. This build is very well rounded for skill checks, so I chose traits which would help with social skill checks. For the Gunzerker build, I chose the Savior background because the negative talk modifier is mitigated by the last longer skill. This build is decent at any skill that isn't based on mastery, so the choice for traits is largely subjective. For the Hunter build, this is a unique concept. The negative modifier to sneak is mitigated by the deadly and predator skills. This build is decent at any skill, so the choice for traits is largely subjective. For the Lightwalker build, this is a unique concept. This build is decent at any skill, so the choice for traits is largely subjective. For the Necromancer build, this is a unique concept. Given this build has such a low traverse check modifier, you may want traits that can mitigate bad traverse checks. For the Phase Locker, I chose Social Anxiety because it has a high enough speed stat to mitigate the negative modifier to talk checks. This build is decent at any skill, so the choice for traits is largely subjective. Alternatively, I could have taken Hidden Past, but this would make insight checks lower than I would prefer. For the Psycho, this is a unique concept. The background is great for melee builds. I prefer having the Macho Man trait twice to further improve the melee build, but other traits which mitigate bad talk checks can also be nice. For the Soldier, this is a unique concept. I took this background from the Shotguns and Sensibilities supplement. I prefer to take traits which improve search checks for this build. Alternatively, I could also make a build using the sourcebook backgrounds. I would choose the Commander background and use the additional points for accuracy, damage, and speed. The final base stats for this variant will have a mastery stat of 2 instead of 4. This build is decent at any skill, so the choice for traits is largely subjective. That's it for this video. Let me know what you think of these builds in the comments below. In the next video, I'll present some rules for homebrew. Thanks for watching.